Hey guys, it's Mrs. Shevchik. Today we are going to be translating a sentence or a phrase into a multi-step equation. Now, these words in front of you should look pretty familiar. We've worked with this before when we were working on writing expressions. So we're still talking about key operation words that tell us if we're adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. And you'll see that list of words here. I would screenshot this to keep it or write it down so I have it to reference. You're going to see words like sum, increased by, more than, subtracted from, less than, product, quotient, things like that. So you're going to be using phrases with these words to write an equation instead of just writing an expression. I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret here. When you see things like the sum of or the difference of, there may be parentheses needed. That might be a clue that we're looking for something where we'll have our parentheses. So what I would do is highlight when I see this 5 times the sum of and the word and, okay, the sum of and, and it's going to tell me what I'm adding in between there. So I'm doing 5 times the sum of a number and 8. So I'm adding x plus 8. And also that tells me maybe where my parentheses will go with this, and then I'm multiplying that by 5. You can see it again in the one below it. I have 6 times the difference of twice a number and 4, and so this tells me what I'm going to, this tells me what I'm going to be subtracting. Twice a number minus 4, okay, that's where this 2x minus 4 came from, and now I want 6 times that difference, so I have to put my 6 on the outside of my parentheses to show multiplication. And just like there are keywords that suggest different operations, there are also key phrases that are going to hint that we are using an equality symbol, like equals, is, or is equal to. And you can see some examples down below. All right, let's try some of these now. One thing to note is that the more of these that you do, the better you'll get at them, just like a lot of things. But what I did do is I put some steps up here to kind of guide you at the beginning here. So it tells us first read the problem and highlight the word that expresses equality, right? And so we're going to be looking for a word that tells us that these are equal. So the sum of 8 times a number and 7 is 39. Okay, that tells me where my equal sign is going to be, and I'm going to drop down that 39 right away because that just makes things a little easier for me right now. Then I'm going to read it a second time and underline keywords that tell us which operations to use, and that's where this table is going to come in. So I see the sum of 8 times a number, so times sum, and 7 is 39. Okay, so here's a little suggestion for you guys. When you see the sum of, remember before we talked about how that hints that there's going to be parentheses coming up? The other thing I would say is look for the word and after that, okay? Because that tells you 2 things you'll be adding. So the sum of blank and blank. So I see the sum of 8 times a number and 7 is 39. And so the reason I did that is I know that I'm going to be kind of grouping this part together and I'm going to be adding it to this 7. So here's what that looks like, okay? The sum of 8 times a number, we're going to use x for a number. We kind of defined our variable there. And so I have 8 times a number, 8x, and I'm adding that to 7. The sum of 8 times a number, x, and 7 is 39. Now this one we didn't actually need parentheses, but we did need to know that we're grouping this part together. Let's kind of use the same thing on this next one here. So it says twice the difference of a number and 5 equals 14. So I see my equals here, and we know it's all going to equal 14. So now let's go back and reread and look for those operation keywords. So it says twice the difference of a number and 5 equals 14. So I'm going to highlight the difference of, that helped me last time. And then again, I want to look for where the word and is, because that tells me the 2 numbers that I will be this time subtracting. Whoops. All right, so twice the difference of a number, which we're going to call x, and 5. So x minus 5, that's a number, the difference of a number and 5, and now we want twice that. So 2 times the quantity x minus 5. And then I have my equals 14 And there's my equation written from that phrase. We've got 9 times the sum of a number and 6 equals 90. So we know something's going to equal 90. Now I can just focus on the front part of it. We have 9 times the sum of a number and 6 equals 90. So those are our 2 operation keywords. Let's call our number x. Doesn't always have to be x, but x is easy, so let's stick with it. And now we need to look for, I see 9 times the sum of, so I'm looking for the word and that's going to tell me the 2 things that I will be adding here, right? So we're going to be adding a number, or adding x and 6. And now we want 9 times that sum. So 9 times x plus 6 equals 90. I'm just going to write this in here again. I gave myself too much space. Oh boy, this looks like a good one here. We've got 4 less than the sum of twice a number and 8 is 24. Wow, there's a lot of math words in this one. Let's see how we can break this one down. So I see the word is. That tells me we're going to have our equals, and we know it's going to be equal to 24. Okay, so we got that part taken care of. Let's reread again, and this time let's look for some operation keywords that are going to help us. So I see 4 less than the sum of twice a number and 8 is 24. So we're going to have some subtraction, we're going to have some addition, and we're going to have some multiplication. So where do we begin? Well, I see the sum of twice a number and 8, and that's where I'm going to look. Because I see the sum of and the word and if you remember from a few minutes ago, that's telling us the 2 things we're going to be adding. Right? So the sum of twice a number and 8. Well, twice a number just means like 2 times a number, and we can use x for our number. So let's kind of bring this down here. We've got twice a number, and we want the sum of that and 8. Okay, and then we want 4 less than that amount. So 4 less than 2x plus 8. Well, I need to go ahead and make sure I put that in parentheses and then take 4 off of that number, okay? And then all of that is equal to 24. So we have the sum of, 4 less than the sum of twice a number and 8 is 24. Whew, we made it. All right, you know what time it is. Time for you to practice a couple and see how you do. So stop the video, try these on your own, and then come back to check it out. How'd you do? One thing to pay attention to on this second one in particular is make sure that when you see 6 less than, that you put that after your original phrase because you're taking it off. That's a common error I see. And then also, if you feel like doing a bonus here, can you solve the 2 equations you wrote? If you can, way to go. If you did that and you got x equals 2 and x equals 5, wow, you rock. Way to go. All right, time to practice. Have fun. Let me know if you have questions.